Welcome back, everybody, to Best of the West. I'm your host, Jake Thomas, and I cannot host this without my good buddy, Stacy Blackwood. Stacy, how you doing tonight, man?
Man, I can't complain a bit. Happy to be here. It's March Madness has officially arrived with the start of the NCAA tournament, so a lot to be excited about there, and glad to be on here with you to talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely, and it's been a couple weeks since I've been able to do one. Life happens and work-related incidents and stuff like that. So we're glad to get back. It's a little bit later, but as you see, the chat will be live. So jump on in the chat and chat up with us. Like I said, as you can see, we're going to talk about March Madness. We also got something else I want to talk about later on in the show. I want to get Stacey's opinion on as well. But man, March Madness. I want to touch a little bit on the SEC tournament real quick before we move into March Madness. Uh, were you surprised that Tennessee won the tournament?
No, they were probably one of the favorites. Maybe outside of Kentucky or Auburn. Of course, Auburn was bounced early by Texas A&M, who was kind of really the story to me of the
Mm-hmm.
SEC tournament. But no, Tennessee's not too much of a surprise. They had a really good season. Rick Barnes is a fantastic coach, so it's not that surprising.
Yeah, I agree. We always talk about getting hot at the right time, and Tennessee did. I mean, I guess the last 2 weeks of the season, they beat some quality opponents in Arkansas, and they had that big win against Kentucky. So, and I think they knocked off Auburn as well, if I'm not mistaken. So they had some good quality wins there late in the season, and they're just kind of bolstered them for the tournament, and they they nailed it. They was hitting lights out in the tournament. So congratulations to Tennessee on the SEC being SEC tournament champions.
Yeah, no doubt, and that they were robbed of a 2 seed by the
Hmm.
committee, and I can't understand how they let Duke get that. Well, I know how. I mean, because they're Duke and they're coached by Coach K, who's you know on the final few games of his career, and so they gave him the advantage as the 2 seed instead of Tennessee, which is just outrageous.
Yeah, and I believe wholeheartedly that A&M got snubbed as well. I mean, that's another big topic that we could talk about is that I think that
Well, I'll say this concerning
yeah.
the SEC, the biggest snub was Tennessee not being a 2 seed, but the next
Yeah.
biggest one was obviously the fact that Texas A&M didn't get in the way they finished the season. And
Yeah.
people can make the argument about, well, they shouldn't have had that 8-game losing streak, but yes, that's part of their season, but you have to look at the entire season. They they finished, including the conference tournament, they finished above 500 in conference play, and you could make the argument the toughest league in college basketball. They made a deep run to the semifinals of to the finals of the SEC tournament.
Yeah.
So I just feel like they probably should have got in, but it goes to show that I don't know why we're playing these conference tournaments, because evidently they do not matter to the selection committee.
Yeah, absolutely. And as guy Cody has said in our chat, Georgia has a new head coach. Was you kind of surprised about that hire?
The hire, yes, it
Yeah.
it, it was
Mhm.
kind of out of left field, because
Yeah.
there was murmurs that Mike White might not return to Florida next season, but for him to be hired by arguably the biggest rival in
Hmm.
Georgia is a little bit strange, and I think Mike White's a good coach. I'm not sure he's a great coach, so
Hmm.
it was a little bit of a strange hire, but I guess we'll kind of see how that plays out.
Absolutely. Moving into March Madness, I've got the bracket pulled up, and we'll go by each region. And just I'm going to ask you, who might be the favorite in that region and who might be on upset alert. But on the west side, of course, you have Gonzaga, the number one seed. You also have teams like Memphis, UConn, Arkansas, Alabama, Texas Tech, Michigan State, Duke. They're all on that side. So who could be the favorite on that side to get to the Final Four potentially?
Man, I'm trying to pull up the bracket right now as we speak.
Hmm.
It's this is I think this is what makes the tournament so special,
Hmm.
is the fact that you never know. I mean, there's just so
Right.
much uncertainty. Nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is for sure. And you're looking at the which side of the west side? Is that what you're looking at?
Yes, correct.
The west side. I mean, I'm not a huge believer in Gonzaga because they just
Right.
never seem to get it done when it comes to the NCAA tournament. I mean, I know they played in the championship game last year, but they just can't get over
Mhm.
the hump. They by now they should have won a championship, and for whatever reason they've never been able to get it done. Um, Arkansas is a really good team, but that matchup with Vermont is tricky because Vermont is
Yeah.
an outstanding 3-point shooting team.
Mhm.
Then you look, and Alabama's in that side of the bracket as well, Jake, and um,
Mhm.
they're a team that on the right night they can beat anybody in the country. Texas Tech is a really good team. You can't count out Tom Izzo and Michigan State or Mike Krzyzewski and Duke. So there's a lot of really good teams on that side, and it's just so hard to pinpoint a team because the beauty about college basketball is you never know how the ball's going to bounce in a certain game. So
Right.
uh, it's not unprecedented to see an upset of a 16 over one. We saw that just a couple years ago when
Mhm.
Virginia was defeated as a 1 seed by a 16 seed. So now that's happened, and it may be something that occurs more often. But it just kind of looking at that, I look at a team like Connecticut, Jake. I think they're a really good team, but once
Mhm.
again, that 5-12 matchup is
Yeah.
always one of the trickiest matchups. So I'm gonna plead the fifth here and say I really can't pick anybody.
Yeah, going back to a few things you had said, I believe Mark Few is a great coach. I mean, what he's
Yeah.
done at Gonzaga is amazing, but he just cannot get over that hump of winning, the championship. And I don't know what it is. It just, he gets there or gets bounced in the final four round. He just can't make that next hump, and that's why it's so hard for me to pick Gonzaga out of this bracket to be a Final Four team, because they've been there before, but they also have lost in the Elite Eight rounds before, and places where they shouldn't have lost in. So at that in that bracket, if Alabama gets past whoever they match up with, either Rutgers or Notre Dame, they potentially could play Texas Tech, and I'm very excited to see how that matchup goes. But the one, if somehow, some way they get past Texas Tech and they pair it with Coach K and Duke after what Nate Oates said about, pretty much called out Coach K last year, I would probably give half of my earnings for the week just to make sure that matchup happens, man. So it's a big possibility that could happen. And another thing is you mentioned Duke and being Coach K's last season. They may play inspired, and they could be a favorite to be in that Final Four run just on trying to win Coach K another one before he retires.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, we all know what kind of talent is on that roster, and
Mhm.
you can make the argument one of the best coaches in college basketball history.
Yep.
Kind of making his final run at a championship. So you definitely don't want to count out Duke.
No, you definitely cannot. Moving to the South region, I'm just going to say I had a tough time on this side of the bracket, just because that 7 versus 10 matchup, Ohio State versus Loyola Chicago. We know what they did a few years ago, and man, they potentially could make a deep run again like they did a few years ago, and that is Loyola Chicago. So I've gone back and forth on that one. I've changed my pick several times on that one. I still haven't decided if I want to keep it where I'm at. But there's a lot of good matchups on that side as well. And another one, watch out for Houston versus UAB. I know a lot of people don't like UAB here at Alabama, but they're an Alabama school, so I hope they do good.
Yeah, there's 4 schools from the state of Alabama in
Yeah.
the tournament. So and UAB is one of those, and
Mhm.
um, they're a really good team. Andy Kennedy has done a really good job in just a couple seasons there as their head coach. Of course, the former Ole Miss head
Mhm.
coach, and Cody knows all about that. So,
Yeah.
but But he's done a good job there, and they're a sneaky good team. And I don't know what's going on. I don't know if it's on my end or not, but I am so blurry. Am I blurry on your screen too, Jake?
You are. I don't know what's up with
I don't know what's
that.
going on, but sorry about that, folks. But because it shows I have a great connection. So, but anyways, yeah, that's another bracket. I see Villanova there, Jake.
Hmm.
Um, I just they're one of those teams that when it comes tournament time, they just can seem to kick it to a different gear. And uh, as a 2 seed, I think they're a really dangerous team. And there's a lot of good teams, and there's a lot of good teams in every region. But I
Right.
look at Villanova, and for some reason, my guts tell me that's going to be the team that kind of makes a deep run there in the South.
Yeah, I agree. I think I got Nova in the Final Four out of that region. Moving to the east side, Baylor's the number one seed there. Kentucky got number two on the east side. Um, just looking, I don't see really any upsets on that side. I think it out of the east side, you could probably see a Baylor Kentucky matchup, and whoever wins that will probably move on to the Final Four. That's just you know how what I
Yeah,
see on that
I'm with
side.
you there. I think that the two teams that at the top of that region are
Mhm.
pretty much destined. They're on a collision course.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be a great game once that happens. Moving to the Midwest, of course, Kansas is the number one overall seed there. Auburn got second on that side. You
And,
know,
and I'll be honest with you, Jake. They
mhm.
get the Jacksonville
Oh
State
man,
draw,
yeah,
and that's not going to be an easy task for Auburn
no,
playing an in-state school,
yep,
to open things up. But hey, we can keep talking. I'm going to disable my camera for just a minute to see if I can figure out what's going on and come back a little clearer. But
okay,
we should still be able to communicate. But
yeah,
yeah, on that side, um, I just e especially I feel bad for Auburn because I say I feel bad for Auburn, I really don't.
right,
But Alabama had to play Jacksonville State this season, and that's a tough team.
it
That's gonna be
is.
a tough out for Bruce Pearl and his team, especially if they struggle to shoot the basketball the way they did against, Texas A&M in the
Hmm.
SEC tournament. Um, it could be an early exit for them. I'm not saying they're gonna lose, then, but, that 2-15 matchup is gonna be tough for Auburn.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And we talked earlier about getting hot at the right time. Auburn got hot very early in the season. They have cooled off big time in the last couple weeks. So like you said, they're struggling to shoot right now to find their shot. So it's going to be a very tough matchup. And the Gamecocks down there are a very gritty team.
Yeah,
So that is
yeah.
going to be a very very tough matchup for them. Um, One that we could pick, I was going to say LSU is also in that region, so or in that bracket. So they could potentially see Auburn if both teams make it theirs. So we'll see how that goes if both SEC schools make it that far in that side as well.
Yeah, and looking at that,
Mhm.
where'd it go? Done lost it. The
Yeah,
see, is that the East?
that's the
Midwest,
Midwest. Yeah,
Midwest, yeah, Midwest. Um, Kansas, they're one of those teams that one time you watch them, they look like, my gosh, this is the national championship team.
I
I mean,
know.
this team is there's no way they don't win it.
Hmm.
And then Kentucky went into their place and just obliterated them.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's just they're kind of a strange team. I was a pretty good team as a 5 seed. Providence is a solid 4 seed.
Yeah.
You never know about Wisconsin, man. I mean, they've made several runs over the last decade in the NCAA tournament. So
Hmm.
just that's a pretty deep region, in my opinion.
That might be the deepest region in the bracketology. That's pretty stout. That Sweet 16 potential matchup between Kansas and Providence, if they both make it, I'm very excited to see that. Providence has a strong chance of making a deep run. They've
Yeah,
looked really well this year.
yeah, I agree
Um,
with you. I like the Providence team.
I do too. John has said in the chat, I think Tennessee and Kentucky are the favorites to make the deepest run in the tournament. I kind of agree with that.
Yeah, is that as far as SEC schools? I'm assuming.
Yeah, probably that's probably what he means. Is that
Yeah,
right, John?
I think Blake Lovell of Southeastern 14 tweeted something out, and I'll look it up real quick
Hmm.
about the SEC teams, their tournament chances. I'll get that pulled up. For some reason, I feel like I seen what John is talking about.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, right. Yeah,
yeah,
for the first round, Kentucky, Auburn, and Tennessee all have a 90%. Yeah, John says
yeah.
SEC schools.
Hmm.
Uh, Yeah, real quick, let's look at this. Uh, for the second round, the only teams that according to this, I'm not sure where I think this is ESPN's bracket challenge percentages. The only teams in the SEC that make it past the second round, according to this, a greater than 50% chance is Kentucky, Auburn, and Tennessee. So this
Mm.
has Arkansas only winning 48% of the time, LSU 21% of the time, and Alabama 21% of the time. So, um, that's pretty interesting. And then past the Sweet 16, Kentucky and Auburn are the only two teams that are favored. But there's several teams
That's
that the
interesting.
deepest round. Yeah. Now this according to this, Kentucky has a 6.8% chance of winning the championship. Auburn has a 4.4. Tennessee has a 4.3. And Arkansas, Alabama, and LSU all have less than 1% chance, according to this.
Just looking at where Tennessee's at, they potentially may end up playing Villanova in that Sweet 16 matchup. So, you
Yeah,
know,
that's where if I feel like if it's that matchup, Jake,
hmm,
uh, just the pedigree that Villanova
yeah,
has. I just,
yeah.
to me, when you get to those top moments, man, it's hard to get past those type of schools, and uh, that would be a tough out for Tennessee. But man, you never know when the ball's tipped. You never know what's going to happen.
Oh no, you're right, and that's true with Alabama's case. I mean, I know people have seen what Alabama's done the last couple of weeks, and it's been awful. But you still got to remember, this team has beat Houston, has beat Gonzaga, pretty much beat Gonzaga on their home floor. Pretty much, they pretty much had over there in Seattle. So
Right.
Alabama can be a Sweet 16 Elite Eight top team. They just got to put it together, and they haven't done it the last couple of weeks. So I can see why people are hesitant to pick them. But out of Rutgers and Notre Dame, both of them teams, whichever one they get, they match up pretty well against them, I believe. So I think they should make at least the second round.
Yeah, I would probably be a little disappointed if this team didn't make the second round
Right.
from a fan's perspective.
Absolutely.
Hey, I want to ask the chat something real quick
Yeah, go
while
ahead.
we're still on the March Madness, and there's fans of schools on here watching that are not in the NCAA tournament. From an SEC perspective, who is a team next season that should make the tournament that's not in the tournament this year? Um, I can ask you that, Jake, and I would ask the folks in the chat to kind of give us their opinion on that. Which team that's in the SEC that didn't make the tournament this year that should make it next season.
Oh, just out of the SEC?
Yeah.
I, you know, I think A&M has a good chance. I mean, they should have been in it this year. We just talked about that, but out of the teams right now, probably them. They would probably have the highest chance. I'm trying to think.
You
Uh,
know who come to my
no.
mind, Jake, and this is all depending on what Scottie Pippen Jr. does is Vanderbilt.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
they fight like crazy.
they do.
They're a dog to put out, and they compete with everybody. And Scottie Pippen's going to shoot about 75 free throws a game, so they
Yeah,
got a chance to win every game. And
pretty
I'm not
much.
knocking him; he's a really good player. But if he comes back with the other talent that's there, that they could be a really a dark horse team in the SEC next season. Because I think Jerry
Yeah.
Stackhouse is doing a pretty good job as their head coach.
Yeah, I agree 100%. That was a very good hire for Vandy a few years ago, and he's built that program up. Scottie Pippen Jr., like you said, is he goes to the free throw line like every possession he's at the free throw line. It's crazy.
It is. It's
Uh,
crazy.
it is. But John said he thinks he don't really follow basketball that closely, but he thinks A&M would be the one that comes to mind. Same, John. I felt the same way.
Hey, let's let one more question before because we've already went 20 minutes. But
Right.
what first round matchup or this is all on the spot? What first round matchup are you kind of looking at that you're kind of most excited about?
Well, one of them, of course, I talked about was at Ohio State, Lola, Chicago. I cannot say that first word.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, exactly. That right there, that's a very interesting matchup. I also talked about the Houston UAB matchup. Um, I think USC and Miami has a very good chance to be a great game in the first round. So there's a lot of first round games that are going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, I like the 8-9 games are always good because they're pretty much
Hmm.
identical teams.
Pretty much,
And for
yep.
some reason, those 5-12 matchups are fun. So I look at like Creighton versus San Diego State as 8 and 9s. I
Hmm.
look at Arkansas and Vermont. That looks a lot of fun on Thursday. And then you get to Friday. Of course, I'm excited about whoever Alabama ends up playing, either Rutgers or Notre Dame. I'll be excited about that. Um, and I'm excited about the Jacksonville State and Auburn game, Jake, because of what that means for this state and what that's going to mean for Jacksonville State. So I look at that. Um, I'm with you. Miami USC is going to be a fantastic game.
Hmm.
Virginia Tech and Texas is going to be a great
Yeah,
game. Uh, what's LSU going to look like with what's happened with
right.
uh, Will Wade?
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting to see as well. So I just listed 5 or 6 games. So there's a lot. They're all going to be great games, but those are kind of the ones that I'm kind of keeping my eye on the most.
One of the 5-12 matchups that you didn't mention, I just saw that I think it's going to be a really good game. Iowa and Richmond. That has a
Hmm.
chance to be a very, very good game because Richmond, they get the ball inside to their, their big guys and that's where they run their offense through. So how is Iowa going to stop that? So that'd be interesting to see. Talking about LSU, John said in the chat he kind of hopes they just mail it in with everything going on. I mean, I'd hate to see you mail it in, especially when you're in the NCAA tournament. I mean, I understand, but your guys are going to play for the the interim coach. I do believe that they have no reason to mail it in. Just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that's a strange situation. So
It is. Yep, it is. Anything else you want to add about March Madness? We, like you said, we talked 23, nearly 24 minutes on it. You want to talk a little bit about spring football? You want to go right to our
let's
thoughts?
hit you random stuff, Jake.
Well, I told you before we jumped on, there was a tweet that was put out today, and I'm fixing to get on a soapbox, and this is probably going to be Jake and Stacy's soapbox because I guarantee once you find out what I'm talking about, you'll have something to talk about as well. And but Auburn put out on their personal Auburn football account about they returned to spring practice today, and every one of those pictures had Bryce Young in it when he was getting tackled by some of the guys, like just inserted in there during like training drills and stuff. And they also said, spring practice begins. Let's try to get or something about a fact. Let's try to get 8 this year. Okay, Auburn. This is why we Alabama fans call you little brother because you're more focused on getting 8 sats against Bryce Young this year than winning a freaking national championship, would ought to be the freaking standard in college football. But yeah, you're worried about what Alabama does each and every freaking day, and that's why you're little brother, and that's why you'll always be little brother syndrome. I'm sorry. Until you grow up and actually care about winning national championships, you're going to be little brother behind Alabama because Alabama cares about national championships.
I didn't even see that.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
and
I mean, how can you allow a team to live? I mean, rent free is always
yeah,
brought up on Twitter,
yeah,
but it's obvious that Alabama lives rent free in the eyes of the Auburn football program. I
and
mean,
have yeah.
like, you think Nick Saban is thinking about Auburn right now?
No, no. He's thinking about that national championship. He's thinking about getting his boys ready.
He's thinking about
No,
his team, and that's it.
yeah, that's right. That's all he cares about. Cares about his team. Auburn cares about what Alabama's doing, not what Auburn's doing.
That's a. I mean, that's I'm at a loss for words. Just to be honest with you, that's just
Yeah,
so comical to me.
it is. It's just you
Well,
won 6 games this year, and
and
I'm
then you
sorry.
went through a month of
Mhm.
not knowing if you're going to have the head coach coming back or not.
Right.
I mean,
The Auburn program in football is in shambles right now. I
I
mean,
don't know. That's. I wish I had something to add.
mhm.
I don't even have anything to add to that. I mean, that's just like I'm dumbfounded by it. I mean, I shouldn't be because it's. I mean, that's Auburn.
Right, exactly. And John said, let's be honest here. Auburn is probably going to have a losing record next year. That's what my next point. Out of the West, I could see them being the 7th place team this coming up year. I mean, the West is I mean, it's like death row on on the West side. I mean, you got Alabama, Ole Miss is coming up, A&M, Mississippi State. They're starting to find their groove a little bit. All LSU just hired Brian
Brian Kelly.
Brian Kelly. So give them a year or two and they'll be back. I mean, Arkansas with Sam Pittman. I mean, they're doing great. So Auburn, they're doing is just worrying about what Alabama's doing. They're not worrying about getting better, you know, and try to compete in the SEC West. Because if they don't change their mindset, they're facing to get left behind for the next, you know, 7-8 years in the SEC West.
I
Mhm.
I just don't know what did they gain. I mean, they didn't beat Alabama last year, so why are they using
No,
that game as a standard?
because they had us on the ropes, and that's what they talk about. They had us on the ropes into that last drive. Well, guess what? You still didn't
I'm
win.
just yeah, I'm
Yeah,
so well. Let's just think about what this Auburn team's going to be like. I mean, and I know some of these games will be at home and some of these will be on the road. And I haven't looked at their schedule for this year, but they're not going to beat Texas A&M most likely.
no,
They're not going to beat Alabama. They're not going to beat Ole Miss.
nope.
They're probably not going to beat Mississippi State.
Mm-mm.
They're probably not going to beat Arkansas. There's 5 losses. I mean, let's just give them one of those games. There's 4 losses already, and we hadn't even talked about. I'm sure they play Penn State. They're not going to beat Penn State.
No, no, they're not.
I they're not going to beat LSU. They're not going to beat Georgia.
And they have deleted the tweet since then. I just now saw. So
Are you serious? They deleted
yeah,
it?
yeah, it's not
God,
on here no more.
I hope somebody screenshotted that.
I hope so too. I'll see if I can find it and send it in our chat that we're in. But yeah, that was crazy. I was shocked. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Mm-mm.
I mean, what little brother's doing it again. I mean, you've got to quit worrying about Alabama and worry about your team and worrying about how you're going to keep up in the SEC West because the way y'all are heading right now, y'all fixing to get left behind. That's just my personal opinion. And I'm trying to be a football fan here. I'm not trying to be an Alabama fan. I'm just trying to give y'all some advice.
Yeah. Yeah, John says, well, they're still an SEC West school, and it's really easy for them to get a foundational recruiting class that can lead. Yeah, but they're not. I mean, they're not recruiting worth a crap.
No, they haven't. They haven't recruited a great offensive line in a while, and that's what has hurt them. You know, the last several years.
I mean, and I'm not saying I know Auburn's roster, in a great way, but outside of Tank Bigsby and the Hunter kid, who on offense is any kind of threat for them?
I mean, I guess I can say Nick Calzada, but I mean, I
Zach
just
Calzone.
Zach
Calzone.
Calzada, yeah, Zach Calzada. I don't think he had a Stephen Garcia type game against Alabama. He's not going to do that again, especially against
Well,
Alabama at home this
who's he
year.
going to throw to?
Exactly.
Who's
They
going to
had trouble.
protect him?
Yeah, they had trouble with the wide receivers not catching balls last year.
I don't know, and I'm not even trying to dog. I'm asking a legitimate question. If somebody's got the answer in the chat, please let me know.
Right.
I'm not saying I know they don't have anybody. I'm just saying that from off the top of my head, outside of Tank Bigsby and the Hunter kid at running back, there's not a weapon on that offense that scares anybody.
Right. I agree.
And I don't know. I just defensively they lose the chunk of their of their talent on that side of the ball. Roger McCreary's gone. I mean he's the only guy. Smoke Monday's gone.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do.
I don't either. It's kind of dull skies over Auburn at the moment. A lot of
See,
rain
but
clouds in the plains.
yeah, but the recovery from keeping Harsin this year is going to be 3. Yeah, exactly 3. And then in 3 years, John, if they're only averaging 5 or 6 wins a season, they're going to fire Harsin then, and then they're back to square one once again.
Right. And paying 3 coaches still. I think I don't think Chizik comes off for another 2 or 3 years.
I don't know.
Malzahn's still on. I mean, that's the thing. How are they going to pay all these coaches? And if they do fire Hartson, I don't know how you're going to pay him and who you're going to get that you can afford besides a high school coach.
Oh, I got you, John.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. So it was interesting. I just that kind
That's
of blew
crazy.
my mind.
If you find anybody that's got a screenshot of it, send it over to me. I'd love to see it.
Oh yeah, for sure. But you have any kind of random thing you want to get out?
I don't think so. It's not a lot going on this week from an Alabama perspective because they're taking the week off for spring break, but they will get back to practice on Monday. So looking forward to that. Spring games will be coming up over the next few weeks, so excited about that. I try to watch everyone that is televised from the SEC. So really excited about spring football, excited about March Madness. This is the the best sporting event to me. So really excited about all the basketball games coming up this weekend and over the next few weekends as well.
Absolutely. It's March Madness, like we said, is here. It's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of softball and baseball yet to be played around the SEC. They have baseball, I know, hasn't started conference play yet, I don't believe. Softball, I think a few teams have played a little bit. I think LSU took 2 out of 3 from Bama over this past weekend, which is a big deal for them because Alabama at that point was undefeated and looking really, really good. And now they have gotten back on track, but that
now the softball team has a big game against Florida State tomorrow night.
Yeah, for sure. That's going. I'm hoping I'm in front of the. Well, I've got SEC at the Dart tomorrow night, so I'll probably be watching it somewhere on my phone or something. But that'd be a big match.
I'll be tuning into that, but I'll also be tuning into that Rutgers and Notre Dame game to kind of get a feel of one of those teams or both of those teams and kind of what's happening. So, but they kind of get a crappy draw there. They got to play in Dayton tomorrow and then fly out to play in San Diego on Friday. So that sucks. That sucks.
Does. Yeah. Yeah, they're not going to be well rested for sure when they get ready to play. Stacy, if you don't have anything else,
I think the SEC baseball season or SEC baseball schedule starts this weekend.
Oh, cool, good deal.
Pretty sure
I
think Alabama's got Florida.
John, real quick, said he saw that Sincere girl for LSU take a foul ball to the face. Is that Vinny Sincere's little sister? I'm not.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that, John. I hope she's okay for sure. I mean, them.
I must have missed that. I watched 2 games. I must have missed. That must have been in the game I didn't get to watch. Let's see here.
And an update, I just found that picture. I got fooled. It was a fake account. So, but still,
Jake says cancel rant.
yeah. No, my rant still stands. Quit having little brother syndrome and worry about your team, not worry about what Alabama does.
No, this is a different set of Sunseries.
Okay.
But she does come from an athletic family. Her father uh, played golf and was on the baseball team at Mary Hardin, which is in Texas.
Okay. That's interesting. So she has an athletic background then. Okay. That's awesome. So yeah, John, laugh it up.
Jake got
Yeah.
fooled.
Oh well. I mean, maybe, but I may have got fooled, but I still stand by. Quit, worrying about your team.
I'll defend you a little bit, Jake. That sounds a
Mhm.
lot like something Auburn would do.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, it was from somebody had made a fake Auburn football account, and it said false Auburn. So I looked at that, but I just saw it earlier. I was busy at work. I just scrolled through. And I was like, I cannot believe they just put that out there. So I got fooled. I didn't look into my resources before I said it, but said what I said, and I'm not backing it up. So anyway, LSU girls from Texas. I thought Vinny was from Texas too. It is a different set though. So
Yeah. No,
uh,
he's not from Texas either. I want to say that he uh, was living in the Pennsylvania area when he committed to Alabama.
mhm.
So, but that's because his older brother Tino was a quarterback at Pitt. So I imagine he had some family living there. So, but I'm not sure, from a family perspective if they're from Texas or not. But their dad Sal is still on the staff there with Nick Saban. So
Yeah, yeah, and um, so yeah, there's still some family ties in Alabama with Sal Sincere there. So I think Vinny was an assistant for a few years, I believe, there as well.
yeah, Tino was too. Tino's
Yeah,
like a
Tino was.
quarterbacks coach at a smaller school now, maybe like James Madison or something.
They all get their start somewhere.
But actually, the Sunseries are from Pennsylvania. The ones that are tied
Okay,
to Alabama, they're from Pennsylvania.
okay, all right. Well, anyway, John, thank you for the chat tonight, keeping it lively. Cody, thank you. There was one comment at the very beginning from a new guy. His M1, I am my cat,
Yes,
whatever.
not
Um,
sure who you are.
yeah,
M1 CK McKellis.
um,
Appreciate you joining. We had another one from Twitch
yeah,
that said Auburn's trash
yeah.
from
You're
Captain Crucified.
yeah, 100% agree. Captain Crucified. Um, that one guy said the MLFB. I'm not sure what that is. Announced their first of their head coaches, Jerry Glanville, the old coach of the Oilers and the Falcons. So I is this minor league football? I guess I'm not 100% sure what this new league is. The only one I'm up on is the USFL. That's the one that's pretty much getting a lot of attention right now. So I'll have to check into that other one. I mean,
Yeah,
hey, more football. Who everybody loves more football. So
that's right.
I'll if you put it out there, I'll watch it for sure. So, but anyway, thanks everybody for the chat tonight. Stacey, thank you for jumping on. Sorry it was a little bit later than our usual 8:30 time. Usually me and Stacey start around 8:15 if we're able to. But tonight it was 9. Had some things going on, but thank y'all for joining. Thought Jerry Glanville was dead.
I thought he was too.
Uh, so that might be another that might be another thing I need to look into. But anyway, yeah,
Thanks, John. Appreciate you being
yeah,
on with us, buddy.
yeah. Thanks, John. We appreciate it. Anyway, Stacey, if you got anything else to
No,
add,
man, I'm good. I'm good.
thank you guys for joining. Please, Stacey and I, we do a Tide Talk podcast. Please like and subscribe our YouTube channel. Like and subscribe everything that we do on the Y'all Conference Network on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter. Everybody's there. We have a little group that we pair all these shows with, and it's great to be a part of. So if you want to join it, please let us know. We'll be glad to bring you to the family. But for Best of the West, I am Jake alongside Stacy Blackwood. Thank y'all for joining. Roll Tide.